Well, it's a very unique project, the Kent State Guardsman Oral History. And joining us today from Ohio Northern University, Assistant Professor of History, to tell us more about that and how they're looking for some more guardsmen. We have David Strittmatter with us today. So thanks for joining us, David.
Thanks, Holly. Good morning.
All right, give us some background about this project to begin with, because you've talked to already 12 guardsmen. What kind of things were you looking for when you're talking to the guardsmen who were there for the Kent State shootings?
Yeah, well, this project started about 2.5 years ago, and it was a class project that I started at the end of a semester, and then as time went on and COVID kind of shut things down, I realized that this project probably had more legs to it than just a couple of months. And so of the 12 guardsmen that we have interviewed, their stories, memories, and recollections really run the gamut of how the Kent State shootings have impacted their life. So we're kind of coming at this open-ended questions that really just allow these men to tell their stories.
I assume some of these stories, haven't been heard before, because I guess no one's standing in line to say, yeah, I was there and this is what I saw or what I did, right?
Yeah, and that was really the impetus for the project itself. When my students and I started looking into the memory or how this historic event has been portrayed, we read and heard a lot about Nixon sending troops into Cambodia, which was a perceived escalation of the Vietnam War. We also heard from protesters, students, faculty at Kent State, understandably. But the one perspective that we really didn't see or hear was that of the guardsmen, which obviously they are a pretty important. They played an important role in this tragic episode. So you're right. These guys are not raising their hand and saying, "Hey, I was a guardsman at Kent State." But I think for this project, time has perhaps healed some wounds or just removed us far enough away from the event that that these former guardsmen some of them are willing to talk.
Right, yeah. I bet it was painful for them, and they probably had some PTSD, and at the time they didn't even know that, but I mean, it was traumatic for them too, I assume.
Yeah, for some it was, for some not so much. I think I mentioned earlier just kind of this gamut of responses. I mean, for some of these fellas, they will say it's their guard service was a thing that they did to take their name out of draft consideration or the chance of being drafted to the war. They had families. I mean, they were true weekend warriors. I mean, they had jobs, many of them in Northeast Ohio, and they went off for a couple of weekends a month. That's what they did. For others, this impacted them a heck of a lot more. And I think the dichotomy is probably best represented by the two gentlemen that interviewed first for this project. One was actually one of the 8 guardsmen that was indicted and spent much of the 1970s going back and forth to federal court in Cleveland. And then the second fellow that interviewed was actually a conscientious objector. He threw down his rifle in the moments after the shots were fired, and he refused to serve again. And he had to go to federal court to be excused from guard duty or guard service.
Wow. So you're still trying to fill in some of the gaps, get this oral history. So if you know someone, if you were a guardsman at the time, you want to hear from them, right?
We do, yeah. So the guardsmen that were on Blanket Hill, they were really from 3 armories. The armories were located in Akron, Ravenna, and Worcester, which I realize is east of Lima. It's northeast Ohio. But I mean, there were other armories around the state of Ohio that did have guardsmen that were activated and sent to Kent in early May of 1970. And if they would be willing to share their stories, we are more than willing to listen.
Mm-hmm. And just to hit home how important this oral history is, you got grant money to continue this project, didn't you?
I did, yeah. There's an Oral History Institute at Baylor University down in Texas, and yeah, I just got a good email a couple of weeks ago that said that they were providing some funding so this project can continue, which is gratifying. It's nice to hear that other history organizations think this is a worthwhile project, and you know, they're willing to put some monies up to continue it.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for sharing about this project. Maybe some people know someone who was there and can help you out. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Holly. Really appreciate it.
All right, don't go away. New Edition continues in a moment.